Well, even if you haven't heard the name Bethel Music, you've probably heard their songs. They're the Christian label behind worship staples such as One Thing Remains and Reckless Love. The co-founder of Bethel Music is Brian Johnson, and while his songs have helped bring a countless number of people closer to the Lord, he says it took a major scare before God became real to him.
Brian Johnson is the co-founder of Bethel Music, singer and songwriter. He thought he was having a heart attack, but it turned out to be a panic attack.
When the ambulance got there, this one thought crossed my mind, even though I was in the middle of this thing. I walked over to my kids, and I told my kids, I said, this is, this is when God becomes real.
In his book, When God Becomes Real, Brian opens up about his battle with anxiety and depression. He shares how God helped him find freedom and how the Lord wants to do the same for you.
Brian Johnson is here with us now. And Brian, we welcome you to the 700 Club.
Great to be here.
We've had your dad, Bill, and your mom out here on the show. And, you know, of course, you grew up in a Christian home.
Yeah.
You guys are from Redding, California. But despite this, or in spite of this, there was a terror that hit you when you were just 7 years old. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's, you know, when you're 7, you don't, I mean, you're thinking about, I don't know, lizards outside and Legos, but I just was in this kids group and
At church?
At church, yeah, and I've been around church and I've been around deliverance, you know, stuff my whole life, but so I was familiar with that, but this thing came, it's like the hair on the back of my neck stood up, and it spiraled me into basically from when I was 7 till 18.
You felt a presence coming to this. You were in church with a bunch of kids, and you felt something that was off.
Oh yeah, and I think back then it was a spiritual thing.
Yeah.
And it started this series of like panic attacks, because when it would start to happen again, I would just spiral.
Because you thought maybe you could become demonized.
Exactly. Yeah. I was petrified of like when that whole thing.
Yeah, I mean that's scary when you're a kid and you see someone get free from a demon. It's not pretty thing that happens.
Yeah.
But then so you started having these panic attacks even at a young age like that, and then you thought you got it under control through worship and just meditating on the Word, but then it came back. What happened?
When I was 21, I had my last experience on an airplane, and I ended up almost losing it, and I ended up singing out the Psalms 149, and 15 minutes before we landed, I just had it broke, and I felt like God spoke to me about the keys, with worship and the power of praise and everything. So from 21 till 4 years ago, I had 36. I don't want
to miss this story because this was good in the book, and I was reading it because flying can be scary for a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you're just in torment. I mean, you want to jump out of this plane.
100%.
You're reading the Psalms, and you start singing the songs. People are starting to look at you.
I know.
You don't care.
This is back before crazy plane stuff, and I literally got to the point of breaking, and I started singing out loud because I was so desperate.
And then you heard the voice of the Lord say something very profound.
In a moment, it left. It was as if it was light and dark.
What did God say to you?
Giving you the keys for this, relating to worship, the power of praise. And from that day on, I started leading at the church. I mean, I led before that, but there was something that shifted. And 21 to 36, I didn't have any anxiety or panic attacks at all.
Wow, that's a nice long stretch.
And it was, it just was gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, when did it come back? I mean, why did it come back?
Well, I think it's a little different when it came back as a 36-year-old. Life happened. We have 4 kids. We're building this label. Things got really, really busy. And I think I stuffed things way too much. Like a balloon, if you blow a balloon up, you keep blowing it up, it's going to pop. And that was me. I didn't really know it.
On the outside, everything was perfect. You had this great family, great marriage, great church. Your songs are not only becoming hits in your church, but they're being sung around the world. And then the panic came back. One day you were out with your son.
I took my son out after we had a long stretch. My wife's like, why don't you take him out? Because she could see I was, tired. And so I took him out to the river, and then just like it was when I was 7, but it was a little different. It was physical this time. I wasn't scared I was demonized or whatever.
Right.
My heart started, something felt fuzzy. My arms went numb. And I'm thinking, right, is this
heart attack,
right? Or whatever. And then my mind, I can't gather any thoughts. and I just spiraled. And I'm thinking at this point, I got to get my son home because I can't hardly function. So I grabbed him, we raced home. And I'm thinking I could just walk it off, you know. And it was very scary. It got worse and worse to where I thought I was just losing my mind. It was very terrifying.
And Brian, you described the next few months as some of the darkest of your entire life.
Yeah, the next 6 months.
Wow.
There was moments where.
Just depression. Like,
Yeah.
why is this happening to me? And you described the 4 weapons, though.
Yeah.
That God helped you, that you used to fight the attacks of the enemy, because this was a spiritual attack.
100%.
You know, what were those 4 weapons?
Well, the main thing that I learned, thank God, I was on a drive with my wife, and she just started doing a deep dive. Holy Spirit started speaking to her about some stuff, and I just started like repenting and forgiving, and I made a commitment to get up in the morning. Worship was a big part of it. I had worship music going 24/7 in the house through the nights.
Yeah.
But that thing that changed in me was the Word, where I gave myself to the Word. I quit everything. I couldn't function. So, and I knew I couldn't take more meds. You know, that can't be my future.
You were on the anti-anxiety meds.
Oh man, yeah, sedatives, and I had to take quite a bit by that point just to function, just to not have a panic attack.
Right.
And it was getting worse, so I thought, I can't. This isn't my end. I can't do this. So what happened was that God spoke to me really clearly. Get up at 5:15. Start getting up at 5:15 and start just reading.
Yeah.
So, and I started reading the Bible like as if I was on a deserted island for the rest of my life by myself. So how would we approach God?
Yeah.
And about 7 to 10 days in, something happened to where I had this glimpse of hope, and I started feeling better. Even my mind, my thought, I could retain stuff better.
Yeah.
And I was off the meds in 1 month.
1 month.
1 month.
That's incredible.
And
I know the doctors were astounded.
Yeah, and so that word renewed my mind. That's all I can say. It was like a miraculous thing that started happening.
You'd always counted on, like, worship was your key to deliverance.
When I was a kid.
And then now, so the word, and also you felt like the Lord was saying, one day at a time, my daily bread.
Yeah.
Stop, just concentrate on this day.
Yeah, everything slowed way down. And sometimes I just sit there for 2 hours, literally, and read a verse.
Wow.
It was this amazing thing where all ambition was gone. I was stripped of everything. I didn't know what my future was going to be, so I had one thing, and it was God. It was like, all right, here I am,
That's why you wrote the book. The title is When God Becomes Real.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
that's all you had.
It's all I had.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, people that have never been through what you've been through might have a hard time understanding, but why do you think God allowed you to go through this, even at an early age, even at 7? Is it the thorn in the flesh like he gave Paul because of all the revelation and the great songs and the success and all of that?
Man,
I mean,
I don't know. I feel like as a 7-year-old, that was probably an assignment, I don't like to get over like whatever, but that's all I can think of.
Or maybe it was so you could share this one profound message that we all need, is that today is all we have.
That's right.
And that we need to just be still and know that he is God.
Yep.
Last night I turned to, in Isaiah, God says, keep your eyes on me and I will keep you in perfect peace.
Yeah.
And don't we just all want that?
Totally.
I mean, that's what we want. Well, daily surrender. We were just talking about that. That's really the takeaway, isn't it? The daily surrender from your book?
It is, and I tell you what, since I wrote the book, since I went through this 4 years ago, I've had a few times where, you get careless. Yeah. And you get brought back to, oh, that's right, that daily, because it is a daily thing, Yeah. We get too far out and we start forgetting what it's like. And so that daily surrender, I remember my devotion, I would get up every morning, I'd be like, all right, God, I surrender. Yeah. And surrender is a tricky thing. We can say it can come out of here, but when it actually push comes to shove, it's a tricky thing.
Well, thank you so much for being so real and sharing this journey with us, and we're all better for what you've been through. So,
thank you.